working on, okay. Trying to get the video going. Trying to get the video up and running. Watch. What? Is it live? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our town council meeting this evening, Tuesday. We are not dealing with rain or snow, thank goodness. It is Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And those present, Albert Yount.
Present.
David Harwood.
Here.
Melissa Pickett.
Here.
Doug Matheson.
Here.
Pete Greeny.
Here.
Okay, all are in attendance. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, council. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 9th, 2023, regular and closed session?
So moved.
We have a first and a second. Who was first?
David.
Okay. Get that, Hillary? Okay, any discussion? All right. Albert? How do you vote? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Pete? Approval of minutes, May 16th, 2023, closed session meeting. Motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay. Discussion? Okay. Albert? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Okay, approval of minutes, May 18th, 2023, budget workshop. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Albert? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Pete?
Aye.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, Albert? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Pete?
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is adopted. Okay, consent agenda, that's a budget amendment 2023-10 and the Blowing Rock ABC store travel policy. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Albert? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Pete? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're quickly made it to our public comment section. If you would like to step up to the microphone, since we forewent Hillary's section, if you would just come up and state your name and address. Yes, ma'am. Now, Janie, be sure you don't, you cannot discuss anything on the SUP that's under public hearing. Okay. Name and address?
Yes. Jane Sellers, 412 Wonderland Drive in Blowing Rock. And I am also the vice chair of the Blowing Rock Civic Association. And I'm making these comments for that organization. As I believe you know, the Civic Association's mission is to promote and improve quality of life in Blowing Rock by evaluating civic issues, educating and engaging residents on key issues, working with local government and business community, encouraging citizens to be involved in their community and to vote. We also believe it's important that leaders of our town are transparent about issues before them for decision. And we participate in town government meetings like the one tonight to gather pertinent information to pass along to our members and others through our communication channels, primarily our website, emails, and the BRCA 28605 broadcast. From time to time, we also pass along to you views of our organization and its leadership. That's my purpose tonight. We very much appreciate the council and town manager's efforts to disseminate town council agendas and supporting documents before its meetings. This is important in order that you can receive informed comments and suggestions at your meetings. We also find the YouTube recordings of the council's meetings to be very valuable, particularly as we try to disseminate information about the council's decisions to those who want to know about them but aren't available to attend an entire meeting or listen to a lengthy video. With this history, we were very disappointed that the listen-only budget workshop on May 18th was not made available on the town YouTube channel. I don't know why it wasn't, and when I contacted the mayor, he was surprised also. It did leave certain questions open that it would be natural to have answered during the work session, and we had a board member there who did pass along some information that came out. So we had the benefit of that. We were disappointed that the listen-only budget workshop on May 18th was not made available on the YouTube channel. Don't know why it wasn't, and when I contacted the mayor, he was surprised also. It did leave certain questions open that would be natural to have answered during the work session. When we had a board member there who did pass along some information that came out. So we had this history. We were disappointed that the listen-only budget workshop on May 18th was not made available on the YouTube channel.
Ms. Sellers, it's obvious this is being transmitted now, okay?
I'll just conclude by saying that I hope we won't have comments that you all have already talked about that we don't have the ability to avoid repeating. And we really do appreciate those YouTube broadcasts and encourage you to do them in the future. I'm not sure that 12 to 7 walk-in thing about the comprehensive plan is going to lend itself to YouTubing, but the retreat did, and I'd encourage you to be sure that the man behind the curtain is continuing to operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sellers. Sorry for the confusion there. A lot of this began, a little history, back pre-COVID. The videos, the recordings, and so on, and there was some issues during that. I found there were some issues during the budget meeting with the recording, and but I think the council as a whole all feels like that it's probably always good to have that available to the citizens. But you know, and it should be in the future, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you, Ms. Sellers. Oh, and by the way, we're not related. Just a good friend, okay. All right, moving right along. Okay. This next section is public hearing. This is a SUP. It is on the Moody Building. If you would like to speak, this is quasi-judicial, so you will need to go up to Hillary and be sworn in. And that also, that is also if the applicant wishes to speak, and or any of his or her associates. And let's see, Brian. I guess Brian needs to be sworn in unless he is.
Yes, Brian, and anyone.
Anyone that would like to speak on this needs to be sworn in.
I'll let you know when I finish this.
Okay, Brian, Brian Johnson, I'm gonna let you lead this off. We are now in our public hearing.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm here to present special use permit number 2023-04, the Moody Building Hotel, which is a new proposed hotel. located on Sunset Drive. John Winkler is the applicant, who's requesting a special use permit to demolish the Moody building that's currently there. The address now is 125 Sunset Drive. And the property is approximately 0.58 acres and is located in the water supply watershed. The applicant's proposing to demo the existing Moody's building, furniture warehouse that was previously approved, I believe, in 2019 under a previous conditional permit. Basically, the parking lot's going to remain as is. The big change will be the removal, demo of the existing building and the construction of the hotel, basically in the same footprint that's there now. A few other minor things, and we can refer also, Kevin has the site plan up here for the proposed building. The applicant's proposing also to remove the dumpster screen, which is in the rear here now. And he's proposing just rollouts for the smaller concrete pad for those. Those will be screened. One note on the plan, this was a somewhat discussion with staff. John is proposing to add some variation to the front of the building here. Typically, in central business, we have a 15-foot setback. We do have a provision in the ordinance that allows you to encroach into that 15-foot setback. However, you can't go past the 10-foot setback here, but to kind of compensate for that and to allow it, he does have to move this part here and increase the required open space there. The thoughts and conversations with John was to, if you're coming down Sunset, was to have more of an open space, a little green space plaza as you go down Sunset looking at the building there. Required parking, the hotel requires 18 parking spaces. That's one parking space per hotel room. Right now, there is 27 existing spaces. There is part of that right now. There's a parking space back here that will be removed. And all John's parking is contained here now. This area will be reconfigured a little bit to accommodate handicap spaces, as you call it down there now. The handicap comes up the side there because the building was obviously elevated at some point, but everything will be accessed from an accessibility standpoint through the back of the building there now. Stormwater, there was a stormwater system put in at the time of the Moody building renovation. That's remaining as is. Jason, the engineer, Jason Gaston, has basically left the impervious area the same as previous, so there was no additional requirement for that, but the existing detention will remain. Actually, there's a little bit more extra landscaping now with it. There's a rendering up here. Be glad to pass it around if you want to look at it a little closer, John, if you want. I'll let you hold that so they can see a little bit better there. The proposed hotel is going to feature obviously cultured stone down to bottom here. Vertical board and batten, some wood bracing, some Douglas fir columns, and there will be some black metal railings here. We've had some discussion with John and his architect, Brent Davis, about maybe adding a little bit more color to that, break up the brown a little bit, so that's something we can work out through the process. The top of the roof is proposed at 30 foot, which is within the ordinance limits. One thing we do need to bring up that wasn't on the staff report or the proposed special use permit that's in there. On the previous approved Moody building, there was a commitment from that applicant at the time to reserve 3 spaces for the public there. I believe the one was the one that was back here, and there was a couple up here that was signed. obviously, no one there, it's been used as probably public parking since it's been built. But John, I think, is requesting to forego those 3 spaces. That's at your decision to approve or disapprove that. But you can have discussion with John on that, on why he's wanting to forego those. The other thing I'd like to point out, we may add a condition to the special use permit if you, when you approve that, is the front. Can we go back to the site plan? This variation of this, staff feels like we should probably make a motion to approve that variance in that front, the front setback where it's been set back and added green space there. And I can read you that section when we get to that point on that requirement there. Maybe a little bit more history. The 3 parking spaces that was committed by the applicant previously was because when you go to your,
Yeah.
when the project was proposed, this was their access in, and they lost those 3 spaces right there in front. There's still 2, these 2 existing there now, but that's why those were removed from the access, and that's why I think the commitment was there for the previous permit. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Council. Pete?
Brian, you and I had talked about the alleyway that leads to the back and to Steve Heathington's project. Do you want to just go over that and explain for the record what we discussed?
So the vacant lot, which is up in this area here, on John's property here, there's an existing easement that was dedicated on his property for access to that. It's a 10-foot easement. There's also a 5-foot easement on this side here with the other 2 properties. I think it's a total of 15 feet. That's the access for that property. We don't know what's happening with that property yet, so we can't speculate whether, but that's their main ingress and egress for that property.
So we're not talking about coming in on Main Street.
I think we would deter coming off Main Street when we look at Sunset and
Right.
do that.
So in other words, the owner has access by that easement, is that correct?
Yeah, the 15-foot easement here. This, right now, as existing out there now, the patio that's there is on the property line, approaching the property line. That'll actually be removed, and this will be a landscape off of there now. So it will open that up, but the actual access is 15 feet.
But a 15-foot easement's only going to allow 1 automobile, correct?
Yes.
One way.
So we'll have to cross that bridge when that project comes through.
Can you tell me about mechanical equipment, where that's going to be located?
My understanding, it's on the roof. This is not a true sloped roof. It's basically up here, there's a screen and everything.
Similar to what you did at the Getaway?
There'll be a recess place, just like we did at the Manor and the Getaway. We had them on the roof.
So am I correct in that our minimum roof slope per code is 6 and 12? And this would require variance?
Yeah, I think we would need to, make that part of the approval condition for the, I think it's 5.5 to 12, so it's 6.
Okay. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
I just
go
had
ahead.
one more question. We've got two elevations. One shows grills in the windows like this and the other one doesn't. And I don't know if that's a resolution issue with the print we got.
This one here really, that should go with this one.
Okay.
So that was one of the first ones we turned in before we had this one done.
So we do have segmented mullions like this, or we don't?
I'm sorry. Don't have. That's it.
Yes, it's like, that shows this, same thing,
Okay.
not just plain glass. More residential stuff.
All right. That's all I had. Thank you.
My question's probably for John. I know that the planning board had talked about dressing up or changing that back just a little bit because it looked some plain Jane.
These things, this costs $2,600. I didn't want to do one of the rear, but we're putting in, I sent it to, Kevin about a couple of weeks ago with the rear.
This is,
Now it shows a bunch of windows and a vent at the top. And I think there's about 6 windows on the back, I'm sorry.
That was discussed at the planning board.
Right.
I think they recommended adding some features there as well.
We're just starting our inside room design, and we weren't sure where to put it, but we do know now. And the window will be, I think, 2 windows to the right. That's an elevator room and a maintenance room to the right, and to the left is a hotel room, and above it's a hotel room, and the right upstairs is an elevator shaft and a maintenance room. And then above it up there, we thought we'd just put a nice vent and give it a little bit, give it a little better look.
We can work with it.
We're open to anything.
Planning board's, I think consideration was, that's a fairly visible facade back there, so they had concerns as well.
Yes, Pete?
Brian, no problems with fire access, getting in trucks and stuff like that? And 2, where's the fire hydrant?
Jason's probably speaking to it, but get back to the information on something. It'll be on, I think there'll be FDCs on the front.
Yes. There should be a utility plan.
I think they'll all be accessed right here, but, no access issues there.
But it's required to be sprinkled, right?
No.
It is not required to be a sprinkler system. It is. Or it is not.
I don't know. We hadn't got that far with the design. It is sprinkled.
That's the FDC in the front there.
So it's whatever the fire department or the fire marshal requires.
Make a motion to move it to the public.
Okay. Motion to move to the public hearing section. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. John, would you like to speak on this or?
I'll be up for any questions.
Okay.
I do have one comment. The reason we're keeping the same footprint, because we'll have very little grading work to do that way. We won't, the lot won't be torn all to pieces with mud out in the road. We'll just tear down the old building and start a foundation right in there. So it probably wouldn't take over a week of grading to, so it wouldn't be detrimental for the town during construction. Of course, there will be trucks in and out hauling materials, but other than that, it should be a pretty low-key project. very little mud or anything like that.
When do you plan to start it, John?
Sir?
When do you plan to start it?
Oh, it'd probably be early fall before I could possibly get, I gotta get my plans turned in, it'd be a while.
Are you gonna leave the parking open the way it is now? 'Cause
Well,
I know
after
it's used by a lot of people.
after I own it, I will not, because, there's too much liability there.
Right.
I can't believe, I mean, somebody gets hurt or hits another car in there, I'm gonna have to block it off, or we thought about maybe doing, having someone patrol it and rent them out for a while, but I'm not sure how viable that'll be, and I don't wanna, forecast that yet. We'll just kind of have to wait and see, and I hadn't really thought about that much until if I do get it bought and get approved, I'll cross that bridge then, but I'll work with the town on that and see if there's something we can do for a couple of months, to help the parking during the summer. But I just don't want to be, there, I don't know, it's a legal question, maybe able to lease it to the town during that period of time and let them use it for parking or something like that, as long as it wouldn't, I don't want to be liable for anybody to get hurt in there or anything like that.
Can we get a parking garage put on it quick enough? One thing I would say, a valet service would lease that from you on a short-term basis.
Might be
And they would have to carry the liability insurance, would they not, Alan? Just the fault.
As long as, I wouldn't be liable, I do have to keep those, Mr. Lovern's 6 spaces open. These first 6 right here, I'll have to leave that open the whole time, and if I do close it off, I'll close it off after that. That's just one of the requirements he had in the sale of the property.
They'll remain open all the time for his employees. Even after the motel's built, they'll still remain for him. Those 6 parking spaces.
Yeah, they'll always, he'll have them, forever, or whoever owns his property. That's the only way he'd deal on it.
Okay.
And on your all's parking, I had nothing to do with that, and I don't think it's my responsibility to furnish town parking, and I don't know how we'd monitor it anyway. I don't know how we would enforce it and then get it all mixed up with my business, it'd be about an impossible task.
That's why I suggest you could do a short-term rental.
Yeah. And I know that this is completely off the subject, but it's not off the subject, but off the property. I talked to Kevin, the old piece of property y'all have behind this piece and behind the bank. I was down there with my surveyor one day, and I figured a way to get y'all about 13 more parking places down there if you want to restripe it. And that'd be a big deal if you want to ever go down there.
Maple.
Look at it.
Yeah, Maple Street lot.
Let's take a look at that, Kevin. Okay.
On a side note, I'll put it over here.
Any more questions for Mr. Winkler? Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
And yes, sir.
So I have one, maybe related to what he's going to say. Go ahead. Well, let me see what you say,
Would you please step up here to the microphone and state your name and your address, please? Thank you.
I'm Dale Howard. I'm a lawyer. My office is over in Boone. I happen to live in Blowing Rock, but I'm here. I represent the owner of the property currently, RW1 LLC. And I wanted to make sure, number one, this is a presentation and representation by John Winkler, the buyer of our property, not my client, RW1. Okay. Number two, he already mentioned, John mentioned the fact that there are 6 spaces specifically reserved for RW1, RWL1 LLC. And they are the first 6 spaces starting at sunset. We have details to work out on that, on the future use of those, other than the fact that it is reserved for us. So I wanted to make sure that the presentation included those spaces. That's why I came. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So my question was related to that.
Okay, what is that, Alan?
So if there are going to be 6 spaces reserved for the current owner when he sells the property, then I'm assuming there's going to be some reference in our permit as to that, and that those spaces are going to be shown on a map that gets recorded in the registered deeds office.
I wouldn't think so.
Well, so we're acknowledging that we're approving a site plan, and the site plan is going to presumably show which spaces there are from the town's perspective of approving the site plan.
Well, they only have to have 18.
Understood.
And it seems to me that's a private deal between Mr. Lovern and Mr. Winkler.
We're approving it contingent on that as well, though. Is
No,
that
we don't
not
have to
correct?
approve it contingent on that. I mean, you're the attorney,
I would prefer
Alan.
that there be a paragraph in the permit that just addresses that fact.
Okay.
So I understand what you're saying, that it only requires 18 spaces, but at the same time, you know, a short paragraph that just references that.
Yes.
My assumption is that when the closing takes place, that your client's gonna delineate the location of those parking spaces in some form of fashion.
Oh, it certainly will.
Right, so it's gonna happen anyway.
Sure,
Be a part of the deed. Would it be a part of the deed?
sure.
I would think that there would be a map that would be recorded that would locate the parking spaces. Wouldn't you? Isn't that what you're planning to do?
We certainly are going to
I think it'll be the first 6.
the spaces here.
First 6.
You're okay with it?
Could I have one question?
Please come up, so it is being recorded, so that's okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Right. You made a response to an inquiry about the alleyway. And am I correct that this property currently shows that this is the boundary line for the property? No.
Jim looked at that day, we left you a message. There's a deed, that lot number, that alleyway is one deed. We have that deed. Laverne owns it, with the right of way through it, and then the other piece him. So we're buying all that. That corner goes just like it shows right there.
That's one property there.
So we used his survey anyway.
All I'm saying is that representation is made by Mr. Winkler and not by the current owner of the property, period. Thank you.
Council, questions for Brian?
Kevin, you might have to chime in on this, but if I remember when we issued I don't know if it's a CUP or SUP at that time to Mr. Lovern. CUP. The 3 spaces that were for town public use were a result of us losing spaces for the driveway, correct?
That's right.
I never felt like that was enforceable or we should have done that. But I know that that was the wish of the council at that time. And so part of this would be the release, is that the right word, of that?
I think that's fair.
It's a variance. Not,
No, just,
No, it's not a variance.
it's common knowledge.
It's just, I think you just approve it in your condition with
Okay.
your approval.
It's the condition for approval.
Now, the alleyway will always have to be kept open because the right of way for that back property back there.
I did read through those deeds today, and it does say it has to remain open for that property.
Because that's been there for so long. I've been through that. So.
To Alan's point and to Dale's point, I think there needs to be language in there about the 6 parking places, so there's no confusion moving forward or in the future about what's intended. And so, Brian, how that gets put in there, I think it's important to have it in there.
I got a question. The 3 that the town required, are those part of the 6? They are not. So it's a total of 9 spaces right now. Okay.
18 for the hotel, which is adequate for his use.
Yeah.
I think that'll leave John a couple extra over 18, I believe.
Did we have some of the public that would like to speak further? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Additional discussion, Councilman? No? Okay. Thoughts? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve
With the 2 variances.
with the variances that I stated and the parking.
So you're making a motion to approve the 2 variances, 1 and 2 were which?
Number 1 for the increased encroachment into the setback, for the increased setback of the building for more green space, open space. The second being, which if you want to reference the section, it's,
Roof pitch.
the second was for the roof pitch, 5.5 instead of 6.
And the third was relinquishing the 3 parking spaces that the town originally requested on the first CUP.
That's a condition, not a variance.
Right, that's correct. Okay, we have a first, we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, Albert?
Well, based on my knowledge of the strength of the Winkler organization and their knowledge and adherence to the building theory of scale, I vote yes.
Okay, David?
vote yes. It's nice to see an underutilized building being utilized. Thank you.
Melissa?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Pete?
Yes, and because of what Albert said, John has proven in the past that he has done really good projects, and he likes to see Blowing Rock prosper, and so he's the perfect person to do it. So, yes.
There was one other thing, Dave, you mentioned the slope of the roof, do we need to address that?
We did.
We did.
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
You gotta remember
You know,
behind John.
I will say something, council. I think the Winklers have done an excellent job, along with the other builders in town. But gosh, I wish we could find some more restaurants to move into town.
Let's see, roof pitch was what, 9, 12?
6 and 12 is required.
Oh, okay.
What, rooftop restaurant, is that what you put
Yeah.
that, Albert? All right, moving right along.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys. He's hungry. All right, now, this next section is the public hearing for the 23-24 budget. And I'm gonna refer to Mr. Kevin Rothrock. Now, you do not have to be sworn in for this particular public hearing, but you will be able to speak once we open the public hearing after Mr. Rothrock presents the budget.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to give a brief update. As you know, we had a budget workshop back in May, and the feeling of the council at that time was to move forward with the proposed budget. Fiscal year 2023-24 recommended budget totals $16.8 million for all town operations, capital improvements, and debt service requirements. This is an increase of $1.1 million over last year's budget. It's a 7.14% increase. The increase is mainly due to salary increases with both a COLA and a subsequent merit system in December, or to be effective in January. Final issuance of our GO bond debt, additional fire positions, three positions for fire, 2 positions for the Blowing Rock Academy daycare, and also other property purchase debt service. The recommended increase to the tax rate is 2 cents from 37 to 39 cents. Nicole Norman is going to give us some more details briefly from the presentation she's put together to give some more highlights. At that time, we'd turn it over to the public.
Thank you, Ms. Norman.
Hello, good evening. As Kevin said, we had our budget work session where we really delved into the numbers and went over the budget in great detail. And I'm not going to go into that detail tonight. I'm sure everybody's happy to hear that. But we are going to give a little bit more of an overview here as to the FY 23-24 recommended budget. So we are familiar with our general fund revenues. These are our major sources of revenue for the general fund. We look at property tax, sales tax, occupancy tax, as well as the category of other revenues, which includes debt proceeds and as well as sales and services from programs such as recycling, parks and rec programs, and permits and fees. So we are looking at our pie chart that kind of gives a visual of those different revenue sources. So you can see here, property tax makes up 46% of our total budget. Number 2 is going to be sales tax at 22%, and the third highest is occupancy tax at 15%, with the third or the fourth highest other revenues of 9%. As I said, that is comprised of debt proceeds and sales and service revenues. So looking at our property taxes, the town of Blowing Rock experienced minimal average tax base growth this year, only realizing 0.4% of average tax base growth. The recommended tax rate does recommend a 2 cent increase from our current 37 cent rate to 39. And the value of a penny this year is calculated at $164,742. That's up about $1,900 from the value of a penny during this current fiscal year of $162,766. So this is a look at our 15-year tax base trend. So you can see current year FY 23-24 is projected at about 0.4% growth, whereas last year during reval we experienced 35.4% growth. And you can see prior to that revaluation over the past 14 years, that was historically high growth within that time period. This year we kind of inquired as to the minimal growth because we know that there are some properties that have come on the tax rolls, and what we discovered was that there were a large number of appeals to this revaluation. So basically, our regular growth that we would experience was offset by those appeals that were granted. So Watauga County, for Blowing Rock, granted about $15.3 million in appeals. So that's how we ended up with 0.4% growth. This is a look at our tax rate comparison. So Beach Mountain, Seven Devils, Boone, and then Blowing Rock, that is through fiscal year 22-23, that's our current tax year. And just kind of a look at where Blowing Rock compares to the surrounding area tax rate wise. This is also a look at our value of a penny and how that has trended again over a 15-year period. You can see the small amount of growth here, and again, rebound that happened during fiscal year 22-23 grew the value of a penny for us. Moving on to sales tax, this is our second highest revenue source for the general fund. This makes up about 22% of our general fund revenue. So sales tax currently is estimated to come in the end of this fiscal year at about 15% up compared to last fiscal year. And looking at collections through March, we're about 20% up, which is great. However, economists are forecasting some decline towards the end of this fiscal year and end of this calendar year and early calendar year 2025. So we do know, 2024, sorry. So we do expect this to slow down some. So therefore, we are budgeting 6% growth in our sales tax for next year over this year. This is a look at our sales tax, and then the differential there. Our sales tax is distributed on an ad valorem, utilizing the ad valorem method, and so we always kind of like to keep track of the difference because we were previously under the per capita method, so we continue to track that and kind of see where we are under the new method of distribution. So during the current fiscal year, we expect to collect a net of about $600,000 over the per capita method, and that is net of the fee back to Watauga County. So looking at the budget, I mentioned 6% increase for our budget, and so we're looking at a net budget-wise of approximately $632,000. And again, that is net of the 70% return to Watauga County on that distribution method. Looking at occupancy tax, this is our third highest revenue source for the general fund. This is 15% of total general fund revenue for the town. So we are budgeting 15% down. This was a discussion with the TDA board and from kind of looking at where things are coming in right now, we are currently down 4.5% for the fiscal year, with March coming in 10% down. We do have April numbers now, and April came in 15% down. So the TDA is taking measures to prepare for that with their decrease in budget for occupancy tax. Okay, this is a look at the allocations of occupancy tax funds to the town. These are initiatives that the TDA contributes to. We have things such as a park restroom attendant, town landscape beautification, Christmas decorations, sidewalk maintenance, street maintenance. They pay half the cost of the landscaping out on 321, and you can see the full list here. I will mention that there was a change, so the TDA has since adopted their budget, and they did make an adjustment that will flow over to the town side, and that's going to be this overhead cost right there. The TDA did vote to decrease that. So the difference is 34,932, which is a change from our budget work session that is now to be covered. We propose through fund balance, a one-time allocation for a fund balance. The other change will be to the Brown Parking Facility loan payment. That payment that loan has since been paid off, so we will need to redirect those funds towards another initiative. And that can be amended, once a redirect is determined. Moving on now to our general fund expenditures. So general fund expenditures total 14 million. And this is just a breakout of the departments within this 14 million and how the budget is allocated. So you can see central government makes up 30%. You can just kind of look around at the percent of the pie that the departments represent. Street department at 12, police department at 16. The only things that I will point out as new initiatives or changes here that kind of stand out is that we did have some departmental breakouts and one new department. So we have our Blowing Rock Academy new department here. Landscape was just a breakout from Parks and Recreation. And then IT. IT was broken out from central government. So otherwise our departmental makeup remains the same. Okay, this is an overview of subsections of the budget. We have personnel up here, and that had an increase of 14%. This column represents the change in these different categories of personnel, operating and maintenance, capital and other is transfers, as well as debt service in our total. So the total budget increased 7% for the general fund, and you can look through and see our percentage changes in the area breakdown. Okay, the proposed personnel and salary changes in the budget are comprised of a 5% cost of living or a COLA increase for full-time town employees, as well as up to a 4% merit pay available for each employee. So the town is pursuing a merit or interested in pursuing a merit system for town employees where they would have the ability after having a evaluation with their supervisor of up to 4% merit pay. There are 5 new positions within the recommended budget, 3 of which are fire or EMT positions, 2 of which are for Blowing Rock Academy staff, the director and the teacher. This is a listing of the general fund capital equipment and vehicles that are proposed for fiscal year 22-23. So the total is $534,775. We are replacing several vehicles with used options. Just where we know that a vehicle has less use, we've decided to propose a used vehicle in those areas. And there will be a rehab of the current communications building up at Green Hill. There's a portion in the general fund and a portion being paid for out of the water sewer fund because those radios that operate on that equipment serve both funds for us. Several portable radio replacements, as well as an electric mower. Okay, looking at BRAC. BRAC is a separate fund for us. Their budget did not change much this year. It only increased about $500 or 2%. And that was actually all in printing cost. So BRAC contributes towards landscape and beautification of public property, the downtown hanging baskets, as well as the town cleanup day and planting day, and landscape and beautification needs of the town. The water sewer fund, we are going to look at our water charges, sewer charges, as well as other revenues that are comprised of debt proceeds, as well as collection fees. Okay, this is our water sewer fund revenue and the breakdown. So we have 48% water charges and 42% sewer charges. So the primary funding source in our water sewer fund are in fact water and sewer charges. And that is how the state of North Carolina Local Government Commission actually requires us to operate. So we are in year 3 of our rate and revenue recovery plan. 3 years ago, actually probably 4 or 5 years ago, we sat down and met with the state of North Carolina Water Association, and they assisted us with kind of analyzing our rates that were in place and determining what kind of rates we would need in order to fund our system and fund anything that we could see in the foreseeable future. So from that, we developed a 5-year plan. We are on year 3 of this plan, and while year 3 expected a 2.5% increase, we actually were in need of a 3.5% rate increase to fund the FY 23-24 budget. So if you're curious what that means for anybody paying a water sewer bill, I calculated some averages. The difference between a 2.5% rate increase and a 3.5% rate increase for a 5,000 gallon customer is about $4.56 in a year. Whereas if you're a 10,000 gallon customer, it's $7.56 in a year. So we were cognizant of the impact of that. Okay, looking on the expenditure side of the water sewer fund, we have we have 3 major departments within the water sewer fund. We have field operations, plant operations, and administration or billing. And you can see the breakout here, 36% is plant operations, 25% field operations, 39% is admin and billing. There are not a lot of changes happening in the water sewer fund. We continue to fund our, we call it internally our AMI meter change out program throughout the town. So that is already funded and starting actually. So this is a listing of any capital and vehicles within the water sewer fund. So you can see our portion of the communication, building rehab in the water sewer fund, as well as a grandfather lift station rehab, a vehicle trailer, as well as portable radios and chargers. And that is it. So I have nothing else. I don't know if you have any questions.
Council, do you have any questions for Nicole? David, anything?
Can you enlighten me a little bit about the $83,200 on, so that was, we paid off the Braun parking deck?
Yes.
Okay. So we had budgeted to do that, but it's been paid off in this fiscal year?
Yes, it was just paid off this month. Yes.
Okay. So what are we backfilling with that? We're gonna escrow it? Well, I'm sorry, so
Sure.
the payments that would have gone to that?
So these allocations from the TDA, like the $83,000, the annual debt service payment, there has not been a decision made. So that is sitting there still under that purpose until a reallocation is made. So it's just really all finished up.
And that has to be done by TDA, correct?
Yes, the town can, if they identify a project that they would like to request the funds be allocated towards, they can by all means make that request to the TDA. Because I know the TDA always wants to help fund things that, the town and TDA are in partnership with, so.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Nicole. Good job. Thanks. Open public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Those that you want.
Open it.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, we're now open for public comments. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am?
thank you.
If you would just step up, state your name and address.
Thank you. I'm gonna pass out, these are front and back what I'm gonna say, just because we all have a copy of it. Thank you.
It's not Braille.
It's not what?
Braille.
Oh, okay. Why, does somebody need that? I said about Okay, Mayor Sellers, council members, interim town manager, Rothrock. My name is Jean Kitchen. My address is 783 Wonderland Trail in Blowing Rock. And I'm the chair of the Blowing Rock Civic Association, and these comments are from our organization. They're not about what's in the recommended budget, which is heard, but rather what is not in the budget. In 2022 and again in 2023, Blowing Rock Civic Association has conducted surveys regarding issues of concern to the residents who live here, many of whom are registered voters. Both last year and this year, a top issue for those who registered their views is the need for improved ambulance service for Blowing Rock. The failure of service levels to reach national standards, which was 9 minutes, get there in 9 minutes, and 90% of the time, was highlighted by Chief Graham at Town Council's annual retreat earlier this year. The EMS 24/7 transport was one of four long-term goals and objectives set by the council at the conclusion of the 2023 retreat. Efforts have been made for years to come to a negotiated solution to this problem with Watauga County, but still nothing is happening. If Congress can negotiate a compromise on the debt ceiling, it seems like Blowing Rock and Watauga County could do it, especially on a clear health and safety issue like this. The proposed budget appears to include approximately $221,000 for new fire EMS personnel at the fire station, offset by reduced part-time and overtime pay and benefits of $71,000. This is on page 103 of the council meeting materials. No explanation of the change in personnel approach was provided in the staff report, but we think it's related to the EMS 24/7 transport. We have to wonder if the net increase of $150,000 in fire and EMS personnel expenses couldn't be a good start to solving the ambulance issue. Time is short to complete negotiations with the county in the context of currently proposed budget, but given the importance of this life and death issue, we urge you to consider setting up a reserve for this purpose or planning for a budget amendment earlier in the new fiscal year. While BRCA isn't in a position to commit private dollars to help achieve the desired outcome, we have strong reason to believe there are individuals in the community who may be willing to do that and could work with council and town staff to make connections if that would be appropriate. Another comment on the proposed budget, personnel expenses, salary and benefits represents 43% of the recommended operating budget. Substantial pay increases are included in the budget, both 5% COLA and potentially 4% merit increases at mid-year. When one looks at the COLA for Raleigh and Charlotte, I checked it, Googled it, and it's 1.9% COLA. The staff's budget message states as follows on page 6 of 18, which is page 69 of your materials. A contributing factor to the town's organization's financial picture relates to its organizational structure and personnel costs supporting such an organization. There needs to be a balance on the town's ability to retain and recruit quality employees in comparison to being competitive with the surrounding labor market. It is understood that the last time the town fully assessed its organization and conducted and implemented a related classification and pay study was in 2014, which is approximately 9 years ago. This is something that may be considered during the FY 2024-25 budget process, being then it would be 10 years from the last study at that time. During the time between pay studies, organizations typically change and new positions are added, as we saw like with the academy, and changed over time, so cyclical pay studies can assist in keeping pay rates in line with the overall structure and ward off compression issues. BRCA doesn't have a position on the specific compensation proposed in the budget but we do believe in fiscal responsibility. We urge you as our council to use third-party reviews as recommended by town staff to determine whether our staffing levels and compensation programs are in line with other jurisdictions and to the extent comparable with the private sector in the area. The final topic I'd like to call to your attention is in the budget report is Appendix 5, the capital improvements plan for the 10-year period 2021 through 2031. It's Appendix 5, it's in your materials. The total amount for parks and recreation, water and wastewater, streets, stormwater, sidewalk was originally $49,167,500. Through the upcoming year, 2023 through 24, $12,122,413 is taken care of, leaving $37,045,087 of the 10-year CIP. However, these plans date back nearly 10 years, updated annually since then. The staff has stated the following at budget message, page 4 of 18 in your media materials. A pressing expenditure for the town of Blowing Rock in the coming years relates to the development of a capital improvements plan. The town's engineering firm, McGill Associates assisted the town staff in the development of a 10-year capital improvements plan during fiscal year 2013-14. The CIP identified a variety of improvements throughout the town, including public facilities, parks and recreation, roads, sidewalks, roadside ditches, and water and sewer lines and plants. It is adopted that on an annual basis, the town should reassess its capital improvement plan and incorporate necessary revisions for the future budget planning. Conducting a complete water and wastewater utility asset management inventory program could be very helpful when developing realistic capital improvement plans. Consistent with our desire for fiscal responsibility and our belief that repairing, replacing, and maintaining the town's aging infrastructure should be a priority given its essential nature, we see the staff's recommendation for a current water and sewer asset assessment as both reasonable and necessary. With a realistic CIP covering its needs, and can then also consider how best to plan for its wants. Thank you for the opportunity to make these comments. And I'd like to add one thing on a personal note. I want to really thank y'all for the physical respect and responsibility you showed to the citizens of this town by not approving the underground utility project. I hope as you look at the dollars, the public coffers, you view them like you view your own family budget, because those dollars come straight out of people's family budgets. And I talked to somebody after the last meeting who was she said with her reevaluation, her property taxes are going up 60%, and she's having to go back to work and leave young children and get daycare for them because of that. And now every time you go up, it's based on the new evaluations, so it impacts people more. So thank you very much for your respect and responsibility for that.
Thank you, Ms. Kitchen. Do we have anyone else in the citizens that would like to speak on the proposed budget? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion, council? Any questions for our interim town manager or Nicole Lord?
I don't have a question, but I want to say one thing. No one anywhere take this as a criticism of the county commissioners. They have their job, we have our job. They have said no basically to full-time ambulance service. But they were going to give it to us for what, $250,000?
$500,000.
$500,000. We elected not to do that. And in the meantime, things are growing here and bubbling here, and the fire department and the rescue are having a lot more redundancy in their calls. That means 2 and 3 at a time. That didn't used to ever happen. So the commissioners, as I say, have their job, we have ours. What is left to us but hire some additional people to come to your house if you have a heart attack and we don't have an ambulance, the first 4 to 7 minutes are the most critical. That's why I support hiring those people. Now, Doug and I started off with the commissioners. When, Doug? When did we start eating rubber chicken with all of them?
1889.
And we had one commissioner that was in favor of this, and he elected not to run anymore. And it's become apparent to me that the only thing we can do is take care of ourselves and our people. And that involves having these new EMTs and firefighters. So that's how I explain why we are hiring 3 new additional people. I'm totally in favor of that.
Doug, you were at the fire department for many years. Just in one paragraph, would you explain once again to our citizens the importance of the first responders in addition to transport? Would you? I mean, reason being, we're hiring 3 new EMTs. And that is, like Albert was saying, for the safety of our citizens.
And Kent is having to deal right now with a lot of calls that are very close to each other, which is tying up more and more of our people. As Albert had said, the quickest response, especially when you're having a heart attack, is to get there and get you stabilized. Our guys, we are very proud. Our chief's very proud. He has one of the best departments in the state. For our size, we probably have more paramedics than anybody. And with the addition of these firefighters /EMTs that's coming on, it will give us a greater chance of, when we do have calls, or when the chief has calls back to back, when they're out on one, and then all of a sudden here the alarm goes again, and you have more people to fill in, move up, fill in, move up, fill in. So this is at least a step in the direction that we're trying to achieve. It doesn't mean that we've given up on the county, the 24/7 service. We haven't given up on that. So.
Well, as Doug did say, that the 24/7 transport is, yes, we definitely need it. And I think all the council agrees with that, and many of the citizens. It's definitely needed. But first and foremost, we got to make sure that our first responders get there and, stabilize, and then transport from that point. So thank you, Doug. Thank you, Albert. Any other thoughts, council? You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? Okay, Albert? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Pete?
Aye.
Okay, so the budget is approved for 2023, 2024. Okay, moving right along, we have a regular agenda items, board appointments. Mr. Rothrock. This is what, planning?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, John.
Good night, guys. Thanks for coming.
So planning board member Sam Hess recently submitted his resignation from the board. He had family and work obligations that didn't provide him with enough time to serve like he wanted to. To that end, there's a seat available on the planning board just a few months after we got started with the new group. Brooks Mason had applied to serve on the planning board, but was appointed in February to serve as an alternate on the Board of Adjustment. Larry Armour and Charles Gillen also applied to serve on the planning board. Larry received a vote during the February meeting to serve, but was not appointed. Mr. Mason can be appointed to fill the vacant seat on the planning board, and Larry Armour, the next highest vote getter, can be appointed to Board of Adjustment in the open alternate seat. Both have agreed to this scenario, if it would please the council. And if we want to move forward in that, I would take a vote for the council tonight.
You've talked to all these and everybody's in agreement.
Yes. Mr. Mason back there.
So we have Mr. Mason in attendance, Larry Armour here. No,
I don't think so. I have not, I've spoken with Mr. Armour, but I have not met him.
okay. And so the only one that's in attendance that I have an application for is Mr. Mason, is that correct? That was sent out. What do you think, council? Would you like to make a motion to approve someone for the planning board? David, you've been there a number of years. What are your thoughts?
I'd be very pleased to go with the recommendation that you put. I think that we had all had stated that we like the idea of the highest vote getter moving into that role.
That's him.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You put that in the form of a motion.
I don't know how to do that.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a
Yeah,
second, not knowing how to do it.
That's fine.
Motion to accept your recommendation. Is that sufficient?
You made the motion?
I did.
Doug, did you second?
I second his, yes.
Any additional discussion on this thing that we are not aware of? Albert? Yes. David?
yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Doug?
Aye.
Pete? Aye. Okay.
Thank you for serving.
Thank you for volunteering your time. It's, I'm so pleased that so many citizens do jump up to the plate. It says a lot about our community, so thank you.
And then congratulations, Thursday's meeting's been canceled. We just don't have an agenda item, but please come Monday night to the, or Monday afternoon to the comp plan workshop. Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
All right. Audit contract 2023, Ms. Norman. You got a full slate tonight, don't you?
Way easier than the budget.
You do a PowerPoint?
No PowerPoint. So this is the audit contract for the fiscal year 2023 audit. The fee proposed is $26,500, and this is no increase over last year. This is year 2 with Thompson, Price, Scott, Adams and Company, PA. And, we were pleased with their audit services last year, and so this is here for your approval.
You were satisfied with them?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not.
That's the main thing.
yes.
Are we
Thank
year to year?
We are technically year to year. However, we do intend, we kind of set our commitment last year to do a 3-year cycle. And I do recommend going a good cycle with your auditors because it just takes so much. Melissa understands so much when you change. So I'm in full support of sticking with this company.
Counsel, Pete?
Nicole, how have you been working with these people? Good rapport and timelines and things that
Yes,
are supposed to get done?
Yes, we are already starting dialogue for the coming year. So last year, was our first year with them. So year 1 is always, you're trying to learn their ways, they're trying to learn your ways, and it's just, it can be a rocky process. But we got through it fine. I mean, they were excellent to work with, and I believe that they found us easy to work with. So it's a good good relationship.
Good fit?
Yes, a good fit, thank you.
Okay.
Council, motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second to approve. Any further discussion? Okay, Albert? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug? Aye. And Pete? Okay.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Norman. All right, right along, Gardner's Gallery, the addition to their SUP, Mr. Brian Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Got before us now a modification to special use permit 2023-03, which is a minor modification to the Gardner's Gallery and BR Farmers Market, which you heard last month. The applicant is back in front of us tonight for a minor modification. The farmer's market, I think, has been a popular, been a lot of interest. So they're back tonight, I guess is a good request, to request additional vendors to be able to be on site. The previous special use permit that was approved last month allowed up to 8 vendors. What you need? That area on the side.
The next one.
That one right there. What was approved last month was having the vendors on this side here and basically leaving the parking lot open. They're requesting 4 additional vendors to be able to be, to access as well, and they're looking at this side here. I think with all the activity, what they're requesting is an additional 4 vendors, which would bring us a total of 12, and completely close the parking lot to allow for that, and probably allow for safety reasons as well. Previously, there was 23 spaces needed. With the increased area for the farmer's market, it required 1 additional space. They have secured, I think in your package, you saw the parking agreement with First Baptist Church. That has been secured and they're fine with it. So the gravel area beside it will adequately accommodate all those spaces. Staff has requested and recommended that there'll be 1 handicap space here that basically accesses business here. We have requested that remain open or be accessible during this for accessibility. And I can let John speak to that. I think the agreement is they'll have someone on hand that if they need to park there ADA accessible, that they will accommodate that for them. Nothing else changed. So just a minor modification to that. They do plan on completely closing the parking lot. I think they've had 2 or 3 farmers markets now. We've had no issues. It seems like it's been pretty popular. So it's here to field any questions if you have any.
I think it's great to see it growing. Very good.
Do we have a motion? Oh, Pete?
I think John and Jill have done a great job, and the response from people down there is really very good. Parking is on a full day is a little challenging, but it's well done, and I think adding these extra slots will even enhance it even more. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Further discussion? Okay. Howard? David?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And Pete?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Righty, moving right along. Official reports, comments. I should have a few comments. Once again, thank you for those that attended this evening. Thank you for those that are viewing outside of the building. And Jerry Burns Day is Sunday. Jerry Burns was, driving force with Blowing Rocket and did a lot for our community, volunteered for a lot of different things. His birthday's being celebrated the 18th at the Legion Hall. In addition, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the horse show and the 100th anniversary of our library. So that will be held Sunday at the Legion Hall, and I believe that is 3:30 to 6 or something of that nature. Does that sound about right to you, David?
I believe that's correct, yes.
And then 4th of July will be celebrated in our town on the 1st of July. It'll be Saturday the 1st. I think the parade starts at 10. And of course, festivities all around town. And, before that, our comprehensive plan workshop is scheduled to be at the Legion Hall on the 19th from 12 to 7. So it's a drop-in thing, come in with ideas, suggestions, or we're working on the update of the comprehensive plan. So that's all I have. Albert?
Well, I've actually noticed a reduction in speeding on the bypass.
You're slowing down?
No. Only when I see you. So it must have something to do with the enforcement that we have beefed up. And I think everybody should be aware of that.
Our chief's doing a good job, and his officers.
Oh, absolutely.
David?
So I looked at my calendar, and Jerry Burns' Day, I think, starts at 4:30.
4:30.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I want to first say thank you to Mrs. Norman and all the department heads for all their hard work on the budget. Really good job. Thank you so much. And welcome Mr. Rothrock into the interim manager position.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you move from there to here. So thank you very much for stepping up and agreeing to do that, and look forward to working with you in that capacity.
Thank you.
Speaking. Doug?
2 or 3 things here right quick. Just for FYI, the new county Parks and Rec director has stepped down, so we have an interim Parks and Rec director at the county, Karen Poteet. Let you know that. Short-term rental, ETJ, passed the Senate with just a few modifications which did not pertain to us. There's 50,000 and under is still left under control of the state, or we'll lose our control of the ETJ and short term. So anybody knows anybody that they can talk to, Ray said that he would.
You're looking at me.
Ray said that when it's in the House now, and he said he would do all he could do. So,
So anything 50,000 population, 50,000 or less.
County.
County.
Right.
Will lose ETJ.
Right. And be on the lookout this Friday, probably between 9 and 10, Broadpire is coming through Blowing Rock on its way to Bristol, and they're estimating up to 6,000 vehicles.
It's what?
What is it?
It's a car club.
Oh, what?
So be aware, that's,
6,000.
it's coming through here Friday morning.
And this is going to be when?
Friday morning.
Friday morning.
Probably between 9 and 11. They're
Yeah,
estimating.
well, yeah,
somewhere.
Boone's estimating it'll be there by 10 o'clock, so.
So don't come downtown between what time and what time?
Well, downtown's gonna be great.
don't come on the bypass.
Don't go on the bypass.
Yeah.
And that's all I
All
want.
right, thank you, Doug. Pete?
A couple of quick things, Charlie, before I get into the main thing that I'm going to talk about, which is temporary food trucks. But I want to thank Matt for getting those speed bumps down on Cornish and Clark. I've had it from a couple of people that live over in that area that speeding on Cornish has stopped with that speed bump there. So second thing is, as chairman of the Economic Development Commission, I'm in the process of getting with the new school superintendent to welcome her to Watauga County, and also ask for her to pursue what the former superintendent said about finding a way to finally pay Blowing Rock for the resource officer. And he made that commitment. I'm just going to ask her to pursue that. So finally, I had called Charlie and said I'd got a number of calls from people talking about the lack of food available. El Racon is closed. Foggy Rock is in transition. Nobody seems to know when that's going to open. There is definitely a shortage of places to eat. So Charlie suggested that I get together with Kevin, and Kevin and I talked about it. I also talked with Leanne Haley, who has the egg rolling truck. She's had that for 6 years, and she's quite accomplished at that kind of thing. These are some of the points that she raised with the idea of giving the council, the manager, and the mayor some thoughts to think if we want to bring this forward or what do we want to do with it. Because I've been told that a lot of people are starting to go to West Jefferson. West Jefferson has 21 restaurants on its main street. And if we start losing people, it could be hard to get them back. Anyway, she said that she thought the best place for a truck would be over next to the chamber and the police department as a way to test the theory and see if it would work. She's also saying we should just start, if we do something on a temporary basis, that we should do only one to try it so that we can see if it's going to work, not only for the town, but for the person that's bringing the truck up here and making money. She said that obviously the two big weekends that we should really look at, 4th of July and Labor Day. And so those two big holidays are when there are going to be a lot of people here. And if we don't have restaurants open, it's going to be a problem. She suggests like operating Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11 to 5. And the main point she made was you have to make sure that the truck operator has the appropriate insurance. And so she gave me a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that have those kind of trucks. So I pointed out, and whether we want to do something about it do we want to take it to the summer retreat? Kevin, you'd mentioned that if there is moving forward, it would probably have to go to the planning board and back to the council to do something. You might want to comment on that.
That's right. If we're going to do something that amends the ordinance, it would need to go to planning board and council to do it right. And we want to do that. I think there is a need that's been recognized. How we handle it, we want to be sensitive to those that have restaurants, and there's less of those now, but be sensitive to how that may affect them and take a lot of information in to try to solve this issue.
This is going to be on the summer retreat.
Right.
Okay. I have a question. Can something be done temporarily without amending the ordinance, such as like we allow the Baptist church to do it on a special occasion scenario.
Special events is something where they would be allowed. Not sure what kind of special event would be pinpointed here, but
4th of July.
4th of July weekend.
just that weekend, sure. We could look at something like that. Alan and I spoke today.
We talked about that.
So it wouldn't really be a problem, Alan? I mean,
I think if it were just isolated, just special, but, you know, in the long run, you need to look at amending the ordinance. We don't address that in our ordinance, in our land use ordinance.
but it could be done.
It's never been something that the town was all that keen on doing.
Right, so, but it'd be something that, say, the council wanted to do it this 4th of July, they could. And that would give maybe a good trial run. Could we get by with that?
Can we put this on a different agenda? I feel like we're exceeding our council comments and we're debating.
That's fine, this is my call. So it's gonna be on the summer retreat, and it'll be there for discussion. And then if council wishes to go forward with it then, so be it. I just had that question for Alan since he was here, what the situation was.
Retreat's pretty soon, isn't it?
Mhm.
2 weeks. Yeah, I thought we were going to talk about it at retreat, so.
We are, yeah. Yes, Pete?
I also called Charles at the chamber and to get his views and comments from if that organization has been getting complaints. And Charles, you said definitely. I don't know if you want to come up and articulate that?
Not tonight, no, not on your comments,
Okay.
no.
I was gonna say, could they be invited to come to the
Yes,
retreat and speak?
sure can, yes, yeah, that'd be good.
Not to cut you off, Charles, but.
No, but that
they
would
give
be a
you the
little more,
opportunity.
yeah. Because this is strictly for the council's comments. Okay,
That's it?
Alan? No?
You give Charles my time.
You're not going to tell them about the contract extension?
Charles, if you would, could you get with Kevin about speaking at the retreat? See how we need to go forward with this. Okay. And Mr. Interim Manager, Kevin Rothrock.
Before I go into anything, Doug or Jared had something to share, and then Aaron was going to share something, a little update on paid parking. And
Okay.
if they just had a quick minute on some of the projects that are going on.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'll be brief. Just wanted to give an update on our Main Street Infrastructure Improvement Project. And this is specifically divisions 1 through 3 that were previously awarded the water, sewer, and sidewalk improvements. I thought it would be fitting to update council on the schedule and project sequence since we have moved a little further along in the process now. So we had a good planning session with our contractor, Iron Mountain Construction, last week, just to talk about those very things. How to schedule the project, when to start, how to sequence it. So coming out of that meeting, it looks like in mid-July, we're going to hold a formal pre-construction conference with the contractor, and DOT and town staff will be invited to that. We'll go over the project particulars and then establish a notice to proceed date of mid-August. And we haven't nailed down that specifically, but we're going to get past the 4th of July holiday, schedule the pre-con, and then move to late first week, early second week of August, sometime in that time frame for a notice to proceed. Now, when the work starts, it's going to start on the south end of the project near the intersection of Main Street and 321. That'll be water line installation. It will move north. We can't really gauge how progress will be. A lot of unknowns underground. So the contractor will commence in that direction, working north water line installation till near the Chestnut Drive intersection. That's as far north as they will come. At that time, we'll find and identify a suitable stopping point, move to the north end of the project, either near Chutola or US 221, start working either south or north, staying out of the downtown core, and we'll complete water and sewer on the north end of the project. So at that time, hopefully we've moved into the winter months. We're trying to minimize the impacts to downtown merchants and visitors to downtown. So during winter, we will focus in the downtown core, and that's with watering the remainder of the sewer installation here in downtown. Then moving forward into spring of 2024, we'll work on the final section, which will be the sidewalk over in Hill Street area. And we're putting that off until we get suitable temperatures for concrete placement, which hopefully we achieve in early spring.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any night work?
Excuse me?
Any night work?
No, sir. We covered that very topic with the contractor, and at this time, he's not planning on any night.
Okay.
Thank you. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Well, I was asked at the last meeting to bring back some numbers on some parking, on-street parking only enforcement. I apologize that I don't have anything to go on the screen, but I
Yeah,
did.
you will be making a presentation at the summer retreat?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
I just wanted to pass this out, give you some numbers that you can look over and be digesting between now and retreats. Sort of the summary of the numbers is that probably, according to our estimations, on-street park, pay to park on-street only would probably be able to pay for itself and then have some revenues left over. So some decisions would have to be made whether we wanted to have pay to park on Sundays or leave it as it is, Monday through Saturday. But Monday through Saturday, as it is now, we projected that the revenues would be $335,616. Enforcement cost $180,000, and an estimated net left over of about $155,000. So there's some other numbers there that you can look over year round and that kind of thing. We can certainly discuss it some more in the retreat.
Very good.
Any questions?
Questions? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Anything else? Jennifer?
Asked me to let you guys know that we are in the process of planning our 4th of July Festival and Parade. It's going to be on Saturday, July 1st. We are taking applicants to be in the parade. If you have a problem with it, just call our office. We will be more than happy to help you. But we will start off the morning. We'll have a band in the morning at 9 o'clock. The parade will begin at 10 o'clock. There will be no parking on Main Street from 2 a.m. until the parade is over, which we pretty much have the street cleared off by 11:30 or 12. I'd say 11:30, way before 12. And then we'll have the Cockman family playing afterwards in the park. We have park games, and then we have our park dance. I will say we have contacted all the food trucks locally to see if they would be able to participate and be in the police station parking lot. A lot of the ones that we've reached out to, they already have other events or things that they're going to. So we're figuring out that we've got to start earlier if we want to get some people here, but we do have some locals. Blue Deer might be one if they have enough staff. A lot of it is staffing issues too, if they have a brick and mortar and a food truck, especially during that weekend. So we have reached out and we're contacting and see who we could potentially get. So
What time is the parade?
10 o'clock in the morning.
You gonna be up
Yes.
there?
Can you give us an update on the child care center?
Yes, so currently, we have an electrician that is supposed to come on Thursday. And once the electrician gets all of the building wired and the lights and stuff fixed, because we've added a wall to make 2 rooms, once he gets that done, then we will come in and sheetrock will be hung. We are in the process of ordering cabinets and sinks. I don't know if you know this, but in childcare, you have to have an astronomical amount of sinks. One for hand washing, one for diaper changing, one for food prep. So there's a lot of sinks in this building. But we have all of that plumbed. So once we get our walls up and our cabinets in, then the plumber will come back, hook everything up. And our goal was July 1. It might be pushed back a little bit because it's been hard getting everyone lined up to come in because everybody's so busy, so. Yes, sir.
You have a tickler file?
I do what?
Tickler file?
A tickler file?
That reminds you of doing things? You need to call the mayor and get him up for the parade.
Oh, get him on the parade?
Wake him up.
Oh, wake him up for the parade. Oh, okay. We can do that.
Sorry, Albert, my hearing is getting like yours. I can't hear. David, you got any comments? Thank you, Jim. Okay, anything else?
Just a few things. First, I want to thank council and mayor for trusting me to do this interim position. Thank you for allowing me to serve. And I thank the staff, department heads, and all the support staff throughout the town. They've been terrific in the last couple of weeks. And you know, I'm trying to pull myself out of my old office a little bit. It's kind of tough being there 22 years, but Brian's done a great job serving as acting planning director. And so I want to thank you for that first. Hoping I can continue to serve in any way that you need. I will mention, you've mentioned it already, the comp plan workshop Monday afternoon at the American Legion, this coming Monday. Park bathroom bid opening, I think this is the third opportunity, and those bids will be opened on Thursday, June 22nd. I did speak with two contractors that seemed to be interested. I don't think they were involved. So we're hoping to get at least two, possibly three bids, and we may be surprised and have a few more. Everything else has been covered. The mid-year retreat on June 26th, and we've got several items that we're working through to get them on the agenda. As you talked about some of those tonight. And the other would be the TDA master plan presentation. The TDA want to present that to you during the retreat. And that's all I have.
Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've got I tell you, you've got a great staff.
And I failed to mention Shane. Shane has been very helpful. We spoke several times a day and over the past few weeks, and he's been a big help too.
We were very blessed to have been associated with Shane, but moving forward, we're blessed to have our citizens and our department heads and Kevin Rothrock. But we're going to take a 10-minute recess, and then we're going to go into closed session. Under, you're supposed to.
North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3.
So we're going to take a short recess, and then we'll be in closed session.
I'm hearing big things.